You've been told that anger is weakness, that fear is failure, to breathe through negative emotions and let them go. But what if the feelings you're told to erase could actually fuel you to success? Anger, shame, jealousy, grief. They don't disappear, they just sit, waiting. And while everyone else is trying to get back to baseline, what if you could use these emotions as fuel to rise above the baseline, to elevate from the darkness? You weren't meant to feel good all the time, and some of your most useful emotions are the ones you've been taught to silence. These emotions didn't show up to hurt you, they showed up to move you. The only question is whether you'll burn them or burn from them. We live in an era that treats discomfort like a disease. Everywhere you look, you're told to be positive. Raise your vibration, protect your peace, let go of what doesn't serve you. We've built an entire culture on the belief that certain emotions are bad, that darkness should be avoided, that your feelings have moral weight. But it wasn't always like this, because for most of human history, emotions weren't labeled positive or negative. They were just signals, instincts, forces to be understood, not feared. But then came pop psychology, therapy speak, and social media life coaching. Suddenly, your emotional spectrum got sorted like files. Good, happy, peaceful, excited. And the bad is angry, jealous, bitter, and sad. And we all bought in. But what if the system was broken from the start? Here's the truth that isn't said enough. There are no bad emotions, and no good ones either. They all exist for a reason. The ones that we labeled as negative, they just have a PR problem. They've been framed as viruses to get rid of, instead of fuel that we can channel. Imagine that you're running a marathon. You're sweating, exhausted, and your feet are aching. You think the pain is from the run itself, but then someone yells to you, "Yo, your laces, they're tied wrong. They're loose at the ankle." So your foot is slamming with every step. You stop, retie, refocus, and suddenly, your stride feels smooth. Same shoes, but instead, now they give you a boost instead of slowing you down. Dark emotions are like those shoes. For most people, they cause pain with every step. But if you understand how to wear them right, they won't slow you down. They'll actually make you faster and give you an extra edge. But that's not what we're told. Instead, we get cliches, mantras, Instagram therapy, enlightenment, but in 8 words or less. They sound good, but they're not always useful. Stay positive. Let go of what doesn't serve you. Protect your peace. This isn't guidance anymore. It's become spiritual customer service. You're told to smile while you're burning, to meditate your way through betrayal, cut off anything that makes you uncomfortable, even the truth. But that's not peace, that's sedation, because positivity without honesty is delusion. Letting go of pain doesn't mean it leaves. It just gets buried deeper and spills in ways you can't control. The emotions you've been taught to release might be the very ones trying to release you. Because these emotions weren't meant to be removed. They were meant to be refined. Before we talk about dark fuel, we need to ask something deeper. Why do we even call these emotions dark in the first place? Anger, envy, grief, shame. They weren't always villains, but somewhere along the way, they got cast as enemies of the human psyche. And not because they're weak, but because they're powerful. So powerful that they've consumed people, led to destruction. And because they weren't understood, they weren't tamed. They were shunned. But here's the truth. Before darkness got rebranded as dysfunction, it was once seen as divine. The samurai weren't emotionless, they were emotionally masterful. Beneath the armor, beneath the discipline, was a fire. Not leaking, not lashing, but channeled. The Bushido code wasn't about suppression, it was about aiming your rage like a blade. Some schools even taught that in the moment before death, a warrior could access perfect clarity, an alignment between rage, purpose, and peace. To die without shame meant wielding your anger in service of honor. Even their ritual suicides, seppuku, were a sacred response to dishonored rage. That's how serious they took the energy that we're now told to avoid and manage. Rage was respected because they feared what would happen if it went unused. And far from Japan, in Indian mythology, the god Shiva wasn't worshipped despite his destruction. He was actually worshipped because of it. Shiva's rage danced. The Tandava, his cosmic stomp, was said to shake the heavens, not out of wrath, but out of necessity. When a cycle needed to end, Shiva ended it. And not to punish, but to reset. Even in poison, he found power. When the gods churned the ocean and a deadly toxin emerged, Shiva drank it whole, held it in his throat, so no one else would suffer. Sometimes you have to consume the darkness so that it doesn't consume you. He didn't banish destruction, he embodied it. But somewhere along the way, that changed. Society got cleaner, more convenient, more surface level. Emotions that were once powerful became problematic. Anger, that's toxic. Jealousy is immature. And grief, that's weak. Entire systems were built to make us more compliant, easier to manage, easier to pacify. The good emotions were the ones that made you agreeable, cooperative, docile. They told you to stay grateful, be calm, stay positive, because gratitude doesn't start revolutions, but rage might. That's when darkness got rebranded, from raw power into something that should be avoided. Now most people think that the goal is to eliminate negative emotions altogether, to delete them from the system like malware. But I don't buy that, because those emotions, the ones that make your chest tighten, your stomach drop, your blood boil, those are the signifiers. They're telling you that something matters, that you're alive, that something needs to change. They're not bad, they're a call to action. And when you learn how to use them, instead of running from them, you stop being a slave to your emotions and start turning them into fuel. Today, we don't hunt animals or survive famines. We sit, we scroll, we smile politely. And in this carefully curated world, we've been taught that if you feel anger, sadness, jealousy, or shame, something must be wrong with you. You're dysregulated, you're not in alignment, that you have to fix it fast. But what if that's not you that's off? What if it's actually the programming? What was once sacred got systematized, and what was once human got pathologized. What once made us strong, we're told to medicate, suppress, and scroll away. But the darkness didn't go anywhere. It just got renamed. In the early 1900s, Freud and psychoanalysis brought emotional repression to the center stage. It helped, but it also hurt. Suddenly, your unconscious was an enemy. Anger, that's trauma. Desire, that's a flaw. For the first time, darkness wasn't something to sit with or learn from. It became something to fix. Then, by the 1950s, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, or DSM, began categorizing emotions like checklists. Grief with no time limit is depression. Teen angst is a disorder. Complex feelings got reduced to symptoms, and your depth became a diagnosis. Then came the self-help boom. Affirmations, mantras, the wellness industrial complex. If you weren't feeling positive, it was just because you were doing it wrong. Emotions stopped being teachers, and they became PR managers. Then came the algorithms, and they did something more sinister. They split your emotion in two. In your personal world, you only show the highlights, the smiles, the good vibes. But in the trending feeds and headlines, it's rage, despair, and conflict. The algorithms know about dark fuel, that negative emotions are stronger and stickier. They hold your attention and hook your nervous system. So to keep you, it feeds you secondhand grief, borrowed chaos, and conflict that was never yours to carry. But now it lives in you anyway. And now we're here. A generation overdiagnosed, overstimulated, underprocessed. We repeat quotes about healing, but we fear the wound. We chase peace, but run from the storm. And somehow, we've decided that the real strength is being unshakable, when the truth is, strength is being able to feel pain and still move through it. They told you to fear your fire, but hopefully you see it was just unused fuel the whole time. Now you just need to learn how to burn it cleanly. So now you see it. This fire inside you, the one they told you to fear, suppress, and numb, it was never wrong. It was fuel. But no one ever taught you how to burn it clean. You were told to breathe through it, to silence it, to walk away from it. But what if instead you learned to listen? Because every so-called dark emotion carries a message, a map, a hidden power that's been waiting to be reclaimed. Here are some of the most common negative emotions and how you can use them as dark fuel when they show up in life. Nobody wants to admit they carry resentment. We pretend we let it go, but underneath the calm is a slow burn. Tight, rehearsed, and pressurized. You replay the scene hoping that it changes, but resentment isn't about the past. It's about what you never claimed. It's not weakness, it's a map of silences and missed boundaries, of the respect you gave too easily and never got back. Use it to set your terms. Let it sharpen your standard. And when it's done teaching you, don't hold it. Throw the match. Envy is just ambition in a mask. You see someone win, you feel the sting. Not because they stole your dream, but because they proved it's possible. So instead of judging it, trace it. What do they have that you secretly want? And are you willing to pay the price? That's not weakness, that's clarity. Use it as a blueprint. Anger doesn't always yell. Sometimes it's the silence in a room after a line gets crossed. It's not rage that ruins us, it's aimlessness. Anger, when focused, becomes a compass. It says enough. Speak the sentence you've been swallowing. Step into the identity that fear's been blocking. Don't lash, aim. That's demon time. Not when you lose control, but when you lock in. Anxiety isn't a malfunction. It's directionless energy. It's your body saying, I'm ready. But ready for what? Racing thoughts, shallow breath, the tension before the move. Give it a job. Assign it a mission. Turn the static into signal, the noise into motion. Then it sharpens you, heightens you, and becomes the edge you were looking for. Sadness isn't a glitch, it's a spotlight. It slows you down, not to break you, but to reveal what mattered. The weight, the fog, the stillness, it's not weakness, it's an audit. It says this was important, so sit in it. Let it deepen you, and when it's done, let it slide off clean, because not everything deserves your egg, but what does will root you and make you dangerous. Now, this isn't a license to spiral. Dark fuel burns hot, and misused, it will burn you out or blow up in your face. Think samurai, not savage. Think Shiva, not chaos. Direct it, don't drown in it, because darkness isn't the enemy, it's raw material. The question is, will you let it shape you or scorch you? Light fuel feels better. Gratitude, joy, hope, love, it pulls you towards your dream. But dark fuel, it doesn't pull, it pushes. It says, you can't stay here. You're not done yet. Move. And sometimes that push hits harder than any pull ever could. In a study where volunteers were separated into two groups, angry and calm, a spark of anger actually improved effort and outcomes. The scientists aggravated one group before having them try assigned puzzles, while the other group were kept in a calm state. The angry group ended up outperforming the calm group on demanding tasks. They had quicker answers and higher scores. But there wasn't any improvement on the easier tasks, which is super interesting because it shows that if you're doing challenging things in life, dark fuel might actually be the best type of fuel. When we channel negative emotions intentionally, we move smarter, cleaner, and faster, because pressure cuts the noise. Rage brings clarity, grief brings depth, and urgency makes you lock in. This isn't about saying dark is better. It's about knowing when to use what. Because light fuels your vision, but dark can fuel your motion towards the vision. Light tells you where to go. Dark makes sure that you don't stay where you're at. And next, you'll learn how to switch between them, on command, with control, so you're not just inspired, but you're dangerous. You know the difference now. You've seen the blueprint, but this only works if you can use it in real time. Here's how to move with both torches lit, light and dark. Step 1, identify the fuel that's already present. Don't force the feeling. Ask, what's already inside me? Resentment? Use it to reclaim your voice. Envy? Use it to clarify your dream. Anger? Let it sharpen your boundaries. And anxiety? Give it a direction. Or sadness? Let it clarify what really matters. Whatever's there, refine it. Don't repress it. Step 2 is match the fuel to the mission. Now ask, what's the task in front of me? Not every job needs fire. If you need to build over time, then use light, vision, hope, and belief. But if you need to break through, then use the dark, your pressure, your defiance, your edge. Use light when you want to explore, grow, and create with freedom. Use dark when you need force, power, and unapologetic forward motion. Use the right engine. Don't just rely on one gear. Switch like a surgeon. Step 3 is clean burn only, and this is the most important part. Dark fuel works, but it must be burned cleanly. If you don't direct it, it'll blow up in front of you. If you let it linger, it'll rot inside of you. So use it like a sword, not a wound. Here are 3 don'ts. First, don't leak it into your relationships. Second, don't let it define your identity. And third, don't stay in the darkness longer than needed. You go in, you get what you need, and you get out. That's how you stay sharp without burning out. You've been told to smile more, calm down, walk in the light. But sometimes the light isn't enough. Sometimes it's the darkness that makes you move. The breakup, the rock bottom, the rage that no one sees but you. It's not weakness, that's your fuel. The one they trained you to silence. There will be days where gratitude won't get you out of bed, where vision boards won't save you, where motivation feels like a scam. And that's when you turn to the vault, to the shadows, to the second engine you've been sitting on this whole time. From childhood, we're told to calm down, use our inside voices, stop crying, and eventually we start to automatically mute the signal instead of understanding the message. Rage can be clarity, grief can crack you open, and perhaps the weight you're trying to numb is the only thing grounding you in the truth. So no, the darkness is not the enemy. And even though the world will keep telling you how dangerous the darkness can be, just know the real danger is existing in a dark world and never understanding how to use its fuel.